Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another Tuesday with the Dr. Jeff Experience. I am so happy that you're viewing with us today. I know you could have been doing anything, but you took this opportunity to spend with us. And let me prepare. We've got some great information coming to you today. Great guests with some great, fantastic information, news for all of us to use. So let me bring Sister Romell into the house. Let's welcome Sister Romell Cooks from AARP. Listen, if you got comments, you want some questions. I see Sister Pam is in the house. How you doing, Sister Pam? Glad to have you. Go ahead and copy share with those folks that you know. We are happy to have Sister Romell Cooks from AARP, and we spoke earlier, and I'm going to let her tell you some information about herself, but based upon our pre-conversations, you guys are in for some heavy information that we all can use. I call it news that we all can use. So, Sister Romell, tell us about yourself.
Well, thank you for having me on your show. First of all, on your podcast, I'm with AARP, and we are thrilled always to share information that can help people live better lives. And I am a Arizonian, transplanted to Georgia. Grew up out in Tucson, went to the University of Arizona. Actually, I was the first person in my family to graduate from college. So every time I was married to an Air Force guy, so no matter where we went, I always enrolled someplace. So in the end, I managed to get several degrees in different subjects. And I think my favorite one was the one I got when I was 74.
Wow.
And I got a degree in Spanish after I retired from the federal government, working for them for about 30 years. And then I worked for a financial institution for 15 years. So I was dual jobbing for about 15 years of my working career. And I'm just thrilled to be here. So when I finally got out of school, I decided, okay, let's do some serious community volunteer work. And I just absolutely picked the right organization, which is AARP, because their focus is the 50 plus population. And with the way this country is aging, there's so much that needs to be done. And some of my skills just absolutely weave into the needs of that particular target group. So thank you.
Yeah, let me tell you something. That is so real. We are an aging population. We were talking earlier, and you were letting me know about 10,000 people per day who turn 65 years old. That's an amazing statistic.
It really is. And in 2033, for the first time in the history of this country, we will have more people over 65 than we do under 18. People are not having children as many children as they used to have. Some people are not having children at all, but we are continuing to those baby boomers are continuing to age. So we are a nation that really, really needs to focus on what are we going to do to have the aging population in this country not become victims, have healthy lifestyles, and be able to live comfortably as they age into the hundreds now.
Yeah. Listen, guys, we are broadcasting live on YouTube and Facebook Live. So if you've got some questions or comments as you're listening, you got some questions for Sister Romell, you go ahead and put it in the chat, and we will take on those questions or comments. But I tell you, I was joking with someone, and I said, the 60 and 75 and on above, they're not the ones that our parents were. These are a different breed. I golf with some fellas that are 70 plus, and they wear me out. I'm walking and limping and needing water, and those guys are wearing me out on the golf course. So it's not your same group that we grew up with.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that.
All right. Well, one of the things you talk about, I'm 79 and I still play on 3 tennis teams in my community. And I would say to anybody who's listening, one of the things that keep you energized, like Dr. Jeff, is to keep doing something like playing golf or playing tennis or walking or
That's it.
playing pickleball, which is the new thing, the new ball.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
I tell you, if your goal is to retire and sit on the couch is a killer. Stay
Couch
away
is a
from
killer.
that couch. Yeah,
Say that again. The couch is a killer.
it is. I'm
Yeah,
telling you, you'll
yeah,
notice your
that's
ankles
good.
start to swell up. It's harder to get off the couch than it was when you first started sitting on it. So, um, I just think that it's something to prolong healthy living if you keep active.
So, what made you become involved with AARP?
It's because I've always seemed to have an interest in older people. For when I was like 10 or 11 years old, I went to this little church in Arizona, and it seemed like the older members of the church would always say, "Romell, do you want to go home with me today?" And I'd always say, "Okay." And they'd always have peppermint candies for me. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
what they really wanted for me to clean under the bed where they couldn't
yeah.
get to, or climb up the ladder and get on that box that they couldn't get down. But it never bothered me. My sisters used to think there was something wrong with me. But Jeff, it was such a joy in my life, all through my life, by being involved with the older population. When I finally went off to college, I would get envelopes with $2 in it from members of my church. Some from $4, Miss Turner, Sister Livingston, Aunt Maud.
Put a little sugar in your hand.
Yeah, is that what they call it? They
Put
put
a
a
little
little
sugar
sugar.
in your hand. Yeah.
So, and the other reason is because there is such a need. I think that God gave me the duty of taking care of other people. I mean, I am a servant. I have a servant's mentality. I have never had a need to be the top dog or to be the one in charge. I just want to be the one that helps. And my husband never really understood that part about me. Why is it you're always in everybody else's business? I don't know. That's what I'm here for, I guess. That's what I do. And so when I can write a postcard to somebody in a nursing home that doesn't have visitors, actually, when I was in Kansas City for 3 years, I was the official visitor for 7 people who never had a visitor in all the years they've been dropped off there.
My
So,
God.
yeah, it was an amazing thing. I loved those 3 years until they closed that particular nursing home, reading to them, putting Vaseline on their feet,
Yeah.
keeping
Yeah.
them involved so that they were looking forward to Saturday. I always brought something fun and interesting every Saturday. And sometimes when you don't have anything to look forward to, there's really not a lot of reason to wake up.
Wow,
So,
you said a lot there. Let me tell you something. Sister Romell, we were talking, and one of the things that we've been advertising about tonight is the problems that people over 50 and really over 60, it really could be
any age, actually.
any age, but we're talking about how people are preying on the elderly with fraud and
Oh, for
abuse. Can
sure.
we talk about that?
Oh, yeah. This is one of the fraud prevention is one of the big focus programs for AARP because, I mean, fraud is happening to everybody. In 2020, there was a survey done and they asked, have you ever been defrauded? Have you been attempted to be defrauded, or have you caught a fraud report? 9 out of 10 people had an interaction of some kind with somebody trying to commit a fraud against them financially or emotionally or some way. But
Wait a
9 out
minute,
of
wait a minute,
10,
wait a minute.
I'm
Let's
telling
go.
you,
Let's go over those numbers again. Say that again.
9 out of 10 people had encountered a fraud event in their lives.
My
9 out of 10. I honestly, if we could get people on here to raise their hands, how many of you have had the Microsoft call? How many of you had the U.S. Post Office call, the IRS call? Got the letter in the mail that you won some money? Got a text message from somebody in Israel saying that your grandson was in, wherever. Those are all attempts to defraud people.
yeah,
So I would say that if you fell prey to it, the problem is really, Dr. Jeff, is that it's really worse than that because people are embarrassed to report that they fell for that scam. If you send us $50, we're going to send you 500.
yeah, yeah,
People don't want to tell anybody that I should have known better. And,
yeah,
when you talk to them, the ones that will admit it, they all say, I should have known better. That's right. Remember,
yeah,
if it looks too
yeah.
good to be true, it probably isn't true. Uh,
My God,
Nobody gives
my
away money for $500 for $50. That doesn't make sense. That's not a good trade. So
no. If
yeah,
it sounds too good, it probably is.
yeah. If it sounds too good to be true, it's probably not true. That's right. And
So tell
so
me about some of the resources that AARP provides in that area.
AARP has this wonderful fraud prevention network, and you can actually, and we're gonna, and he's been showing some of those, I think, on the line that can get you to where you can actually report fraud. And that's how we ended up catching when we get a lot of people reporting the same kind of things happening to them. And the banking institution will say, that's not us. We're not asking you for things. And so then sometimes you'll see ads on TV that said, if anybody tells you that we called you and asked for your bank account number, we did not. The post office has had ads like that. And the Fraud Watch Network hotline. And if you could call that hotline, no matter what the kind of fraud is, whether it's a credit card fraud or it's a gift card fraud, you can call that hotline number that you see on the screen, 877-908-3360. And they have people there that can get you to any kind of an expert that you're looking for. Where do I go now? I've actually done something. I've gotten somebody into my IRA or my 401k, or I've allowed a person to get a hold of my PIN number for my debit card. What do I do now? And so they are the ones that can direct you to where do you go next? How do I thought it was the IRS. They told me to send them money. I gave them my social security number. What do I do now? How do you stop it? Because once you give them the number, they just have a free open. It's like a soccer player taking the ball downfield and nobody's there, just running with it. Your social security number is such a key to your financial life.
What other? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say just some things that you should never do. Don't ever give anybody your social security number, ever. Don't ever give anybody your bank account number. Don't ever give anybody a PIN number. There is nobody that will call you and ask you for that is in a financial institution. So those are things that you don't want to do. And I don't care what they tell you on the phone. Hang up, call your bank or go to your bank. If you really think it's serious, go to your bank. They'll work with you. And so I shared with Dr. Jeff today earlier. It's a Fraud Watch Network resources. And they've got the helpline. There's a victim support line. Some people have actually lost their whole life savings to fraud. And they become very depressed. They become emotionally distraught. They become ill. So there are some services that are there that can help you. And the not only just that, the organizations that are over the kind of things that you've been defrauded about, but there's also the victims restitution program. Sometimes they can help you with that. There's the National Don't Call Me Registry, and we heard about that. It doesn't work all the time, but it does limit the number of calls. It will stop some of those organizations from calling you if you use that the Do Not Registry. Put yourself on there. The U.S. Postal Service, USPS, you can go there. How do I prevent fraud on with my mail? So that's another one you can go to. Customer service numbers for commonly impersonated organizations: IRS, Social Security, Medicare, Amazon, Google. All of those are people that are defrauded. They call you up and say, "Hi, I'm with Google, and it sounds like you've had a problem with your email. We need to get your password." So Google does not do that. Microsoft doesn't call up and say, "Listen, there's a virus in your computer, and we can fix it. It's running rampant. It can get all of your information. If you'll I'm going to work with you and log in with you, and so that we can get this straightened out." No, Microsoft doesn't do that either.
Wow. So you've mentioned a few things that you have observed. What are some of the more common that are out there? I know I was a police officer for 25 years in New Jersey, and that was one of the most upsetting crimes I've ever dealt with because of what you said. A lot of seniors are embarrassed.
Yes.
Because it's like, how could this happen to me? And we're not talking about people who, are non-educated. I've seen people who have education.
Exactly. Right.
And they got an email and they were so quick to respond to it that they did not notice a misspelled word
Right.
There's small things, but what are the most common things that you're seeing now when it comes to fraud against the elderly?
And let me just first of all talk about the reason why the elderly are so vulnerable. Many of them live alone. If they don't have people calling and talking to them, and they're actually happy somebody called. So when somebody starts out a very friendly, hi there, how are you? How have you been? If they know your name because they got a piece of your mail, how are you doing today, Miss Jackson? I'm doing all
Yeah.
right. How are you doing? Listen, I've been looking at, and so they become involved with this person. Don't engage in a conversation with somebody you don't know, even if they call you by your name. Who is this? Why are you calling me? Get off my phone. And
Yeah.
what they do is they get little tiny pieces of information from you until they can aggregate it all together and actually open up accounts in your name. They have enough information because we're doing so much online now. They don't
Yeah.
have to show their face. A lot of things are done online.
Yeah.
We call it device scam through digital world get scammed. People actually open up accounts in your name.
Yeah.
People open accounts in you don't even know it. So
Yeah.
what I encourage you to do is like we've been told for years, every year go to Transworld, Experian, Equifax, get that free credit report. All you have to do is just get the number, call them up, say, I need my free credit report. And you may find accounts on your credit report that you don't even know you have.
That is so good. That
Somebody
is so
else
good.
is spending your money. And especially when you live like on a fixed income, you're not going to get any more money. You're not going to open any more bank accounts. You're not going to start any more credit. You're not going to buy a house or a car. So you're really not worried about what is my credit score. But I'm telling you that they can destroy your life to the point that people are coming after you for financial things, depending on what kind of things they buy. People have actually bought cars in other people's names.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that is one, using your identity theft. They steal your identity to create new financial worlds for themselves.
Man.
Right. And
Man.
we said, why does it happen? Loneliness is one of the reasons it happens. I already mentioned that the victims are ashamed to tell anybody that it's happening to them. The other thing is when you're older, like myself, you don't want to tell anybody it happened because they may try to take away your resources. They could go to court and say, my mom just let somebody get $20,000 out of her bank account. Now she's not capable of managing her own world, and I want you to appoint me as her guardian.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now that is hurtful. And I've been involved with one of those where my stepmother, who was at the time 90, fell and hurt her head, got put in the hospital. My dad was 94. So they would not release her to him because he was too old, they said. So
My
they
God.
released her to her niece, who became her guardian. Then the niece would not take her back home with my dad. She took her to her home and proceeded with her power of attorney and guardianship to empty the bank account. She called me and said, she's spending a lot of money. I know she doesn't have it. I'm worried she's spending my money. I live in Kansas, they're in Arizona. Can you come here and stop this? I can't come today, but I can be there in 3 days. And I was there in 3 days. And I called the police. I reported it as a theft. She got arrested. And because she really didn't have any money, it took her like 6 years to pay back the money she had spent. But in 22 days, she had spent $9,000 of her aunt's money.
Wow. Wow.
22 days. She says, the reason I thought it was strange is because when I saw my bank statement, I had paid something to a cell phone company, and I don't have a cell phone. And I'll tell you this, the other thing with older adults, a lot of the time it is family members, grandchildren, children who aren't doing the right things that take money from seniors because they trust them. I need you to go I can't get out the car. My leg hurts. Go to the ATM and get me some cash.
Oh boy. Yeah.
PIN number. And
Yeah.
that person from that point on can get money with that PIN number, even without their card, because they can do it online and stuff.
All the time. All the time.
So
I tell you, there's a new one that I just saw today that people will call you. And again, beyond just those over 50, you'll get a phone message, you'll answer, and they'll say, "Hey, I'm glad I caught you. I didn't know I was going to catch you. Can you hear me okay?" And as soon as you say yes,
Yes.
they hang up. And then they'll use your voice to say yes to other things that
Mhm.
steal your identity and so
Yeah.
on and so forth.
Yes, that is exactly right. And if somebody's calling me, and I'm telling my husband passed away June 1st. And if you think you don't have a million phone calls every
Oh,
day right now, just let that happen. If you haven't had a death in your family, especially if it's a spouse or one of your children,
I'm
there's
sure.
so many people that you have to deal with and you have to be so careful because if you once you put that obituary in the paper,
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
it's just like, hey, come and bother me. It's an
Yeah.
announcement. Call me. Try to
Yeah.
buy my house. Try to buy my car. Tell me I owe you money. And that is what they do. People who said, Mr. Cooks had a loan with us. I don't know if you're aware of it, but if you'll just make a payment, he was about $1,200, but we'll take a clear payment for 600.
My God.
And I'm like, no.
My
Yeah.
God.
No,
My
yeah, that happened.
God.
So
That's horrible.
yeah, but
So, that leads us into, and I want to continue about this fraud, but I also want to talk about, because it leads right into it. Many of us, and I know my wife and I, we dealt with this. I cared for my mother from 2005 to 2016.
yeah.
And then not only her, but my mother's oldest sister. We were caregivers for both of them.
Mhm.
And boy, that was tough.
It is tough.
And I know there's some people on this line that are caregivers, not just to their parents, but to other family members. What do you say about that? And what is it that AARP can do with this?
Um, AARP has a program called Prepare to Care. And I teach the program. You can do a 30-minute version or a 60-minute version, and we can do it on Zoom for any group that would like to have it done. What we do is we try to give families a 5-step process for being a caregiver that will help you not take yourself down the rabbit hole. Because what happens is when you think about a person who's 46, 42, they're caring for a 78-year-old mother. They still have a 9-year-old, a 13-year-old that's playing soccer, and a 7-year-old who needs everything done for them. Besides taking care of their parents, they got to make sure the parents never want to leave home. So you're going to go by her house after work. You're already exhausted. You're going to try to make a meal for her or take a meal to them. Your kids are like, "Mom, when are you coming home? I'll be there in
Yeah,
a little bit."
yeah,
So,
yeah. Oh boy,
so
you,
what
you
happens is
reminded me of rough times.
it's it's a rough thing to do. But let me tell you, normally, unless you're a single child, an only child in a family, that should never be the case. And if your parent has been involved with a job, if they're involved in a church, if they're
Yeah,
involved with a civic group or a social group or for sorority, there are people out there that can take some of that pressure off.
yeah, yeah.
Normally, if you're a daughter, the daughter usually inherits the bulk of that work. Sons say, I don't have time for that. But oh, there's a lot of things that they can do that you are involved in trying to do.
Absolutely.
I say to you, first of all, go online and just look up Prepare to Care, caregivers, aarp.org/caregivers. And what we try to teach in this course is the 5 steps to saving your life if you're a caregiver. And the first one is talking to your parents ahead of time before
Yeah.
they are so disabled that they
Oh
can't
boy,
make good decisions.
that's so
Before
good.
they before they're at a place where they think you're trying to take advantage of them. You got to have the conversation. And the way to start that conversation is to mom, did you know that Miss Lillian down the street, her husband died and her kids are in California and she's having a tough time because they didn't kind of plan on who's going to look after her. I'm not going to let that happen to you. We're going to get a plan before you guys get that age. So you have to kind of get it started on somebody else's back,
Yeah.
or somebody or a newspaper article. God, did you hear where that little lady that lived by herself died in her house? And it was 6 days before anybody even knew she was in there. Oh my God, I don't know what I would do, Mom, if that happened to you. I wouldn't be able to live. We're going to make a plan so that that's not going to happen to you. So you start that conversation. The first thing is talk about it early. And you have to form a team. A part of that other conversation, about talk about it early, you need to know what your parents' finances are. You gotta have some idea what they have, where it is, who has access to it, who are beneficiaries. What do you do if you say all of a sudden your mom has a stroke and she can't talk? She can't even tell you what bank she's in.
Yeah.
Banks will tell you nothing. I am telling you. You
Yeah.
can go to every bank in town and say, "Hi, my mom had a stroke and she's not talking, and I'm trying to find out, does Henrietta Williams have an account at this bank?" Ma'am, I'm sorry, we can't give you that information.
Oh boy. You know, Ms. Cooks,
Yes.
I was a former pastor, and then right up until February, I was a congregational care pastor at a church, and I did a lot of the funerals and seeing sick and shut in and the elderly. And it hurt me to my heart. And I always talk to folks about the importance of planning before, exactly what you said. And if you're viewing with us on Facebook Live or YouTube or LinkedIn, you can see on the screen that we have a caregiver planning guide for families. It's available in multiple languages, as well as the military and LGBTQ editions. So it's right there. If you're not getting it now, you can go back. If you're watching us later on, take this information, share it with so many. It hurt me to my heart to see the fights over trivial stuff. When a person died, families don't speak to each other anymore because of, I wanted this and she was going to give me that, or he was supposed to leave me this. And I tell you, I've got a friend of mine who works at a funeral home, and I talked to them, and we did a session similar to this. And the amount of people that hit me back about, matter of fact, there's someone right here who's asking someone get power of attorney without paying a high lawyer fee. I'm going to address that, and I'm sure Sister Romell will do that. But that's a great question, Kiva. That's a great question. And we talked about just that. I know for myself and my wife, I have power of attorney. I have everything that you can. And it was a horrible situation. So you realize that we're all going to die.
Right.
We're all going to transition. And over from 2000 to 2023, I probably did 50 some odd funerals.
Wow.
And I realized, hey, you know what? It's important to get this done. But just to answer that question, Sister Kiva, on that line, here it is, a caregiver planning guide for families. There's some information on here about power of attorneys. You can download them and fill in the blank.
Exactly.
I know I did it for my aunt. I did it for my mom. I did it for myself.
Yeah.
It's a basic format that you just fill in the information. You take to a bank. You have a witness. You get it notarized. But Sister Cook, can you talk more about that?
Well, I mean, what you're saying is absolutely true. But the other thing too is, I mean, I had a health directive done. I had a health power of attorney. When to pull the plug? I mean, who's going to decide who's going to pull the plug if you go into a coma? A lady just woke up the other day. They said after being in a coma for 6 years. But you need to decide that for yourself while you still have the capacity to design. It cost me $250 to get those done. But the state of Georgia Health Directive, there's the form already there. They have those forms available. It is not like you're, trying to play a lawyer by getting it done. I will tell you, this is the most important thing when you're doing a power of attorney. Use reputable witnesses. That's when it becomes questionable. When it's your cousin TT, your Uncle Bozo. So
yeah,
get it done. Get your pastor to be one of your witnesses. Get a person at your job that works with you to be your witnessing person for the signature. So get it done. And if in fact you know that there are this is legacy giving. This is something that I talk about in my downsizing and decluttering class. Legacy giving. Do not allow your family to break up because you didn't get Grandpa's Lincoln. He told me when he used to drive me around, I could have that car. Well, Grandpa better put it in writing because the wife is going to get it, or because Grandpa has a new wife, his new
Yeah,
wife may get it.
yeah,
And I've seen families, I mean, totally destroyed, like you
yeah,
said,
yeah,
because something wasn't spelled out. And the other thing I tell people, don't tell somebody you're going to give them something when when Mom, I love that ring. Oh yeah, oh I do, and I do love this ring. It's beautiful.
yeah,
And it's like
yeah, yeah,
she said I could have it when she died.
yeah,
No, I didn't. I wrote it
yeah,
down who I want to have it. I honestly, I have jewelry because I like jewelry. I took a picture of it. I put their name beside it, and I made it part of my will. This
yeah,
goes to Tiana in Denver.
yeah.
This goes to Renee in Las Vegas. I mean, I literally did that, and
Absolutely.
it will stop the nonsense.
And
Families are so broken.
Sister Cook, not interrupt you, but this in there. Not just who you want to give what to, but who you don't want to give anything to.
Exactly. And this is a reality of our world. My husband and I put in our wills that our heirs were our two sons, Robert and Edward. Should any other person step forward to claim to be an heir to this family, I don't want to give them anything. Because there could be a kid out there you never knew about. He knew about you because his mama said you ain't talking to him. But when you die, it's okay to talk about what he has. So you
Yeah,
can do that even if you don't know who that person is. Should any other person step forward and claim to be heir in this family, they are to be given nothing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
That's so
that's
important. You
it's
have to
really
plan.
important.
You have to plan for the future. It's an unfortunate situation, but again, we're all going to leave this earth. Is a notary who uses their own witness appropriate? Oh, okay, yeah. Some notaries do have their own witnesses. What about that?
Well, it's okay, but let me just tell you this. If you live in a small community and every time the judge sees a power of attorney, the witnesses are the same four people, it starts to look suspect. I am telling you, the notary does that because it's cheap and easy, and you don't have to go find them. But I'm just saying that if you want to put together a power of attorney that doesn't have questions raised, or that is, I would choose my own.
Wow, wow.
Yeah. When my
That-
mom did her power of attorney, when she turned her house over to me, I used her neighbor of 60 years, Mr. Barnett, and I used her friend at the bank who was known my mother since she was, in her 40s. And I just called her and said, "Hey, I'm trying to do my mom's transfer of her property. We're transferring the house to me. We're deeding it to me, and we're doing a power of attorney. I'll stop by, no problem. Can you come by Tuesday at 6 o'clock? Because I'm going to have the other witness here." And yes, ma'am, I'll see you then. I mean, it's better to use somebody that because how do you even find that person again if there was a question? Those are her people or their people. You should,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, if
yeah,
you don't have a choice, that's fine. If you don't know anybody, that's okay. But we
absolutely,
all know somebody. Because if it were a question,
absolutely.
how do you find that witness again? Who were they? Were they citizens? Were they felons? They're her witnesses or their witnesses. I want to pick somebody I know who's reputable and who's honest and would be looked at as a person that would stand up for me and be recognized as credible.
Yeah, listen, my personal vision plan, anyone who knows me knows these are the words that always come out my mouth. I want to be able to meet needs and solve problems. And tonight we are doing just that. If you're watching us through Facebook Live or YouTube or LinkedIn, share with this because this information is valuable. And all of us, listen to me closely. All of us will have to deal with some of these issues. And we can't sit back and talk about help is on the way. Help is here.
Right.
Those of us who are Christians, we read the Bible and it says you have not because you ask not.
That's right.
Here it is. Prepare to Care. It's live on your screen. A caregiver planning guide for families, available in multiple languages, as well as military and LGBTQ editions, because there's some things that are going on with that now. Partnerships and dealing with LGBTQ marriages and all of that. And you need to make sure you have everything in order. So there it is.
Right. Some states don't recognize those marriages. Your resources may go unclaimed because that spouse that you call spouse is not entitled to anything unless you designated it. It's not going to say, oh, who's the spouse? That's who automatically gets stuff. There's a hierarchy of how things are given, even if there is no will.
That's
first the spouse, then the children, then the parents, then, siblings. So there's an order of how it's done. The court recognizes that nationwide. And remember that neither of us are attorneys. So don't say that we told you how to do this. We're going to put in our disclaimers. We're here to, are you an attorney, Dr. Jeff?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. My doctorate is in ministry for concentration on ministry and social justice.
What we're telling you is that you need to know these things so that you know who to ask and get to the right resources. I'd like to kind of give them the other 4 things that they need to do as a caregiver, if I could, right quick.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. First of all, I told you to start the conversation and figure out what's going on with your parents and what they have and know where their resources are. Where do they hide their will? Where do they store it? Where do they put the insurance policies? People die and they can't even get people buried because they don't know where the policies are. So that's one. Form a team. You don't have to be the Lone Ranger. I'll take care of mama. Yes. And at the end, before the year's over, you may be the one needing taken care of. If you got a team, use people from the church. You have a senior ministry at your church where you go. Get them to provide a meal for their sister who they worshiped with for 32 years, once a month or once a week or whatever. Form a team. Get your brother to do all the banking stuff if that's what his specialty is. Get him to take care of cutting the grass and getting the trash out. That's your job. I'm going to feed them and I'm going to make sure that they're safe, but you're going to take care of cutting the grass. And every 2 weeks, all 3 of us are going to go clean that house. Put the team together. Use people from the church for socializing, keeping them social, keeping them active. There are resources that will go pick up seniors and take them to a yoga class. Find them. Use those resources as part of the team. Make a plan. Who's going to do what? When are they going to do it? And then, of course, find that to other support, what's in the community. And then one big one that we tend to forget as caregivers is care for yourself. Make a day when you do not have to worry about your mom or your dad or your husband or somebody. You can go get your hair done. You can go to the park. You can go visit a friend. You can go to the movies. Take a day for yourself. You should not have to give every day of your life to the person that you love as a parent or as a spouse even. Find a way to get somebody else to care for them. And, sometimes you say, I can't afford anybody to look after my parents. Sometimes you can find a college student who's going to just be doing homework anyway to come and sit with them for 6 hours or 5 hours.
Oh, that's so good.
Let them, you pay them $10 an hour and feed them and they're happy. So you could stay gone all afternoon for $50. So
they got free internet.
Yeah, you got free internet. They can use your Wi-Fi. So look to those kind of resources. And if you do go to a university, look in the nursing department. Do you know that most college students have to do some kind of community service? They have to do some kind of, I got free interns from the medical department when I was taking care of my husband who had a stroke. That was part of their learning. What did you learn? How did you learn to interact with the patient? So these are things where places you can go and get some help so that you can have that day off. If your parent is a veteran, my God, go to the VA and say, here's what's going on. What do you have to help me with my parents? My husband was a veteran. He's 100% disabled, but it wouldn't have mattered if he was 70. I got paid to take care of my husband. I didn't even know there was such a thing that somebody told me. And I went and asked, is that true? Yeah, wow. You can. You can. And it's not chicken feed.
That's good. That's so good because we had a question, and I think that ties into it, asking about Medicare. And I think that's some of the services that are included about the caregiver being able to get paid to take care of a loved one.
Right. And I am not a Medicare expert, but I will tell you that Medicare has gotten so much better at helping you online when you call them and getting you to the right person to talk to. And sometimes they have visiting nurses that come into the house. They have people who come and help to clean that, all kinds of services. So take advantage of what Medicare offers. I think those services are underutilized by a lot of people, especially in our community, that don't know that they're there. Every year, if your parents are on Medicare, at least I get a book that's called Medicare 2024.
Yeah.
Take time to thumb through it. Look for what you're looking for. Google what you're looking for. Can I get caregiver help for my parents through Medicare? Simple question. You'll get 50 answers. And look for the one that says Medicare.gov. That's where you want to get your answer. So
Yeah.
set up a system so that you can have some time away. I had a friend that I played tennis with. Her husband had dementia, and she was literally falling apart because she couldn't leave him, and she had to pay somebody to watch him for the 3 hours she was on the tennis court. And he was a retired fireman, and it turns out they had a really great caregiver program for firemen.
Absolutely.
And then she got 2 full days a week when somebody would come, and they covered the cost for her to be out.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying you need to look for the help because a lot of times it's out there for you.
You know, I often tell people the importance of spiritual worship. And what I mean by that is if it's a church, if it's a mosque, a synagogue, you need to get involved and not just go, but get involved. There are different ministries that are involved. And what happens is no one knows about you if you don't get to know about others.
Right.
Don't just go and leave. I saw so many people that used to come to church, they leave. Something happened in their family where a loved one passed away, and they would come to the church and they would expect us to just open up the doors, and we didn't even know who they were. They never officially joined.
Wow.
Nothing. And what happened was we didn't know. They say no one came and visited them in the hospital. Well, did you tell somebody that they were in the hospital? Did you let us know that you were in the hospital? So get involved with your ministries. Get involved in volunteering in your neighborhoods. Every neighborhood has a homeowners association. Get involved. You went to college, get involved with your alumni associations. Listen, we Howard University Alumni Association. I'm the vice president of the School of Divinity, but I'm also a member of the Nationwide Alumni. We are playing FAMU this weekend here in Atlanta.
Ooh.
And there is so much going on this week that, I mean, I'm literally like, I don't even know what to do.
Yeah.
Involved with the organization for community.
Yes.
My wife and I, we don't want to live on an island by ourselves.
Right.
And people can't know what's going on, or they can't be your brother or your sister's keeper if you. So get involved. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, when my husband and I moved to this new neighborhood from, I moved from Kansas City, and we were spent last 5 years married before we retired, living in 2 different states. So then we got back together, built a house, and lived in this little town of Appling, Georgia. So, I mean, for me to I could yell for 2 days and my neighbor wouldn't hear me. They're that far away. But I mean, it's just through the trees, really. Yeah, but I walked over to my neighbors. I had printed out a piece of paper. Hi, my name is Romell Cooks. I'm your new neighbor. We're at 4990 White Oak Road. This is our phone number. Could you share your information with me? We are an older couple, and sometimes we might need some help if you're willing to help out. I mean, I just put it on the table. Sharon and Roddy became our dear neighbors. They had 2 little kids. I made cookies for them. At Christmas, I'd take them over a little toy. But let me tell you something. They called and checked on us regularly. I haven't seen Mr. Cooks out of late. Is he okay?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Mr. Cooks had surgery on his knee and it went bad. And we're sorry. Can we do anything for you, Miss Cooks? I know. Let us bring you dinner tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it pays to be a part of your community. What he's saying is so critical. If you don't know who lives on either side of you, then make it happen. Get to know them.
Yeah, it's so important. My neighbor on both sides, I have a elderly young lady. Her husband passed, near and dear to my heart, and she cares for her granddaughter. And lets me know every time she's going away. She texts me. She says, "Reverend Jeff, we're going away. Here's where I'm going. Here's where I'm gonna be."
That's right.
I said, "Okay, text me while you're on the road, or text me when you get there." she lets me know when she's having work done at her home. So,
Right.
because she knows if I see somebody who I don't know, I'm going to call and ask, what's
Right.
going on? Do you
Exactly.
know who these people are? She
Right.
went away for Thanksgiving, but her granddaughter was home. So everybody was at the house and they were like, man, where you going with that turkey? I cooked 2 turkeys. I said, this one turkey is for my neighbor. Her granddaughter's there. And I put all the fixings together. But when I'm home, I have to cook again. So I just went on and cooked her a whole turkey, had dinner for her when she came back.
Right.
She was, it was something else. But that's how you have to be. You have to be neighborly.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to make friends,
that's what makes for a more secure life. And you're thinking about, I'm sitting out here on 7 acres by myself. It's so black outside right now. You can't see your hands.
Yeah.
And my somebody says to me, aren't you afraid? I said, Rocky's an EMT and he's a fireman. He calls and checks on me. If something lights aren't right, Miss Cooks don't ever leave her lights on in her garage. What's going on?
Absolutely.
Or why is her mailbox full of mail?
Yeah.
So I say to people when I talked about caregiving, be kind to the people around you. Your mailman may be the person that calls the EMS for you. He says, no, Miss Ada never leaves her mail in the box. I put it in there. She opens that door, gets that mail out. That mail's been in there for 3 days. I hope she's okay. He knocks on the door and say, Miss Ada, are you in there? She may be on the floor, passed out. Who knows?
That's right. That's right.
So I say, be kind to your neighbors. Get to know your mailman. Every once in a while, if you got kids across the street from you, give them some peppermint balls or some.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
So they'll take the trash can in and out for you.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, and that's something that I make sure I do. Also, take the neighbors' trash cans in so it doesn't look like
right.
No one's. Here's a question someone had. I have an AARP card, and a lot of places will not let me use it for discounts that are on their list to use. Her question is, why are they not letting her use this for a discount?
Well, if you have an old directory of what they say, I mean, unless it's current, do you know that that's a contractual arrangement that AARP makes with these businesses to accept our discounts? Because somebody just told me that Olive Garden and Carrabba's just came off the list.
Oh, wow.
They're no longer accepting the cards. And right now, because food is so expensive, restaurants are feeling the pinch too. So, yeah. So, but they are not all, that's not a permanent arrangement that they're on there forever and forever. So you may have run into some of that. Places that you've used them before that you're not using them now. And if you notice discounts are becoming fewer and fewer at a lot of places. Military discounts have actually gone away at a couple of places where I was always able to get military discounts. Like I could always get a military discount at Lowe's and at a Home Depot. But they don't do it anymore for appliances. They don't do it anymore for carpentry, floor materials. Only for small things. If you buy some, a flashlight and an extension cord, you can get it for that. But not anything high end, because sometimes you could save $200-300 on a refrigerator.
Yeah, absolutely.
10% discount. So they no longer do that. So
absolutely. Listen.
Yes.
There's some awesome information here. There's 2 tags that I'm going to share with you. It's a financial workbook for family caregivers. It's a general workbook for military and veterans workbook. But also this one, it's a budget calculator. Caregiving resource and family caregiver support line at aarp.org/caregiver. Listen, if you're watching this, Facebook Live or LinkedIn or YouTube, share this with others. If you come on later on, you do this and you watch this tomorrow, please, I urge you to share this with others. This information is too good just to let go away. All of us know somebody, if not ourselves, that are dealing with a caregiver situation. And as we talked about earlier, the fraud that's going on. Let me put that back up here again. The AARP Fraud Watch Network hotline, 877-908-3360. Or if you want to go online, here it is, AARP.org/Fraud Watch Network. Please share this with somebody in your family. Share it with some of your friends. Share it at your church. Share this stream with some of your church members. It's important.
Yep.
It's important. It's important.
Yeah. And you know, just talking back to the fraud issue, the people who are trying to get your money, they're thinking every day about how can I get to you
Every day.
every day. This is one I hadn't even heard of. I was just looking at recently. Criminals scratch you. You know how they have all the credit cards, debit gift cards hanging at the store?
Yeah, I just saw that.
Yeah, they actually scratch off the back of it, get the PIN number, get the card number, put it back in the thing. You buy it, and you put money on it, and they are continually calling every day because seeing if somebody bought it. Because if they did, they now can go buy stuff with that card by just using that number and the PIN number. You may buy it and send it to Colorado or Indiana for a gift for somebody. That when they get the card, there's nothing on it because the crooks have already used it. So,
how bad is that? How bad is that?
Yeah. So when you're going to buy a gift card for somebody, look at it back and make sure it's not been scratched off already. Because we don't look at it. I know I haven't until I saw this. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is awful.
Yeah. And every year, matter of fact, my wife had it happen to her. She received a gift card from my daughter. And when she went to use it, it was nothing left on it. So fraud is out there. We've got to be so careful. The Bible tells us to watch and pray.
That's right.
We've got to be vigilant when it comes to protecting ourselves. There's a comment there, just do cash. Yeah, that's a good thing. It tells us to watch and pray. But I tell you, man, this could go on for another 2 hours. This information is so good. I thank you so much. Before you leave, Sister Romell, I always want to a little word about, I told you my nephew is a pastor in your town over there in Augusta, and I'm so proud of him. But you need to know where he gets it from. He gets it from right here. I claim it.
All right.
I want to let people know that what we're going over tonight is so important. And let me tell you, it's not just important, but it's biblical. The Bible tells us, Paul talks to Timothy in 1 Timothy 5:1-2, the 5th chapter, verses 1 and 2. He gives these instructions to the church leaders, and it's good for us now. He says, rebuke not, do not show roughness and sharpness to the elders. In other words, don't be so rough with the elders. They may forget sometimes. They may not be as fast as they used to be. But do not forget them. Please, whatever you do not forget them. And then David, he talked about in 71:9. Let me get that real quick. I thought that this was an amazing prayer. Psalm 71:9, David talks about, do not cast me off in the time of old age. Do not forsake me when my strength is spent. For my enemies speak concerning me, and those who watch me for my life consult together. Take care of the elderly. They took care of you. Yeah, they may miss a step every now and then. Yeah, when they're dealing with dementia, they may talk to you and say to you the same thing several times, but just answer them. Don't shuff them off. Don't get mad. All of them this way. It's biblical. Leviticus 19:32 says it this way. It says, stand up in the presence of the aged, show respect for the elderly, and revere your God. I am Lord. God is still with those who have aged. The same way God is going to be with us as we age. It's important that we take care of those who have excelled in age, those who have matured. I love being in a location where there's young and there's old. My wife and I, we go skating on Sundays after we come from church. And there's young folks there. There's folks that look like us. And we're all together having a good time. And I say to, and I know you'll have a word about this, I say to those of us who are aging, stay active, walk, learn how to eat to live. Learn how to eat to live. Let me say that one more time. Learn how to eat to live. My wife and I have ventured off into a plant-based diet. We just had fried fish that wasn't fish tonight. I took hearts of palms and battered it the same way I would fish and had it in a good seed oil. And let me tell you something, it was the best fish that I've had in a long time without it being fish.
Yeah.
But there's so many things that we can do to keep ourselves. You're not going to stop aging, but that's just a number.
Mm-hmm.
Many of us are doing things that our parents, we talked about it earlier, that our parents did not do at this age. Drink plenty of water.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the doctor. Sure, go to the doctor January and June. Get yourself to the doctor. I tell people that we take better care in our cars and our pets than we do ourselves.
Yep.
Get to the doctor. You don't want your yellow light check engine light to come on into your car. So you do the oil changes at 5,000 miles, 8,000 miles. You get your tune-ups. You use the proper gas to make sure that your car is running at optimum performance associated with what the manufacturer stated for that vehicle. Well, we too have a manufacturer's guide. It's called the Bible, or it's called the Quran, or it's called the Torah, whatever you may think about. I want to read this. Amen, Dr. Jeff. It can be difficult, but we have to honor and respect the elders and not push them aside. I'm a caretaker to my mom, and it's challenging at times, but I only have one mom that my dad has transitioned. Wow, that's so true, sis.
Yeah.
That's so true. So I tell you, it's important that we who are aging take care of these bodies. It's the only one that we get. And if we love God the way we say, then we ought to love the gift that God has given us. And we need to do what we need to do to make sure that we take care of this gift. My old pastor used to tell me that we're digging our graves with our teeth.
Yes.
We have information from our sister Romell Cooks, who has given her time tonight, this evening, to provide information that will help us keep us guarded against fraud to ourselves and the elderly parents and friends that we have. She's given us information about how to financially plan, how to do things about wills and estates. On this stream, if you will see websites that you can go to. We've talked about caregiving. The information is there. I often tell people, help is not just on the way, help is here.
That's right.
But if you want to do better, you got to do better.
Right.
Sister Romell, as we close out, what is it you'd like to leave us with?
What I'd like to say to you about AARP and the 50 plus population is there's almost no topic that you can think of as it relates to the 50 plus and this aging population that we are not doing something about in our organization. You talked about dementia. We have a wonderful program called the 6 Pillars of Brain Health.
Wow.
It's a wonderful presentation that you can do. You may have somebody on your show at some point do that one with you. It's really, it's one that I do, but there's others that do it as well. That one is so, it's so straightforward and simple, but when you put all the 6 pillars together, it can help to save you moving so quickly into that arena of dementia and things that you can do to help yourself not be forgetful. A lot of times we become depressed because we start to forget stuff. We think, oh, I just can't do anything. Oh, I can't remember where I'm going. I don't want to go to church because I may get lost. You know, there are things that you can do to help you overcome some of those things that are happening as we age, as far as our mind is concerned. So that's a great one that we have to offer. We have a one called financial resilience. When you are aging, you leave your job. You don't have more money. You're not adding to that bank account every month like you used to, maybe, because the money that's coming in, you're living on it. So, but there are ways and things that we propose that you do and how you do them that will help you stay financially strong. So there's one program that we do called financial resilience. So living longer, living smarter, all kinds of program stuff. And that I'm saying that we are trying to work with our legislators. I don't know if any of you remember recently there was a law passed that says that the pharmaceutical companies cannot charge anybody on insulin more than $35 a month, $35 a month for insulin. That AARP worked for 20 years to get that law passed.
My God.
20 years it took us to get that law passed.
Wow.
So that people aren't going broke trying to get insulin. No more than $35 a month. I don't care how much you use. That is an amazing accomplishment. And I'm so proud of our AARP for that kind of work that they do in the political arena. One we're working on here in Georgia right now is trying to get it is called Work and Save. You know, people who, not everybody has a doctor's degree or a BS or a master's or something. And what they do is they go to work every single day working for the lawn service company. They cut your grass, they clean your yard, they plant your plants. They work hard. These are people who work harder than most people. But the company only has 9 employees, so they don't have a retirement plan. That person works until their back can't bend anymore. And when they leave that job, they have no retirement. And many times they have Social Security at the level that will give them $600 a month or $800. You can't live on that. You can't even pay rent with that. So we're working on trying to get legislation passed called Work and Save. So no matter where you work, how many people work for that company, how much you make or how little you make, that company will put money into a savings account for you. It's your money.
Wow.
But if you don't help people save automatically, they're not going to save. For one thing, they always feel like I need all of this money. But then they'll go buy something that's ridiculous with the money they could have just saved.
Yeah.
But it's important to have it happen when they go on that job. And if they leave that lawn service and they go to work over at McDonald's for 5 months because they're just filling in, the same thing will happen there. That money, they'll keep doing it. And no matter where you work, no matter how little you make or how much you make, if they don't have a 401k plan, this legislation we're trying to get called Work and Save, you'll have money being put away for you for a retirement. So
wow, that's so good. You listen, people, I know many of you get that envelope. You get that envelope in the mail, you turn 50 and you see that AARP registration come forward, or that application, and you look at it and say, oh no, I'm not dealing with that. Tonight you heard just a snippet the services that are available at AARP. And
one other thing I'd like to say, Dr. Jeff, is like the people who are out volunteering and working for AARP, who are teaching all these classes on Medicare, Social Security, financial resilience, decluttering, caregiving, fraud. These are people. A lot of people are retired from big jobs, and now they're giving back to the community. So when you say I'm going to invite a speaker from AARP to come and talk to my group, you're usually getting somebody who's been a CEO of a company. You're getting retired attorneys and retired school teachers and educators, and so we offer high-end educational services to our community. And in our community, and I say the African American community, we're a target group for AARP, which means we're pushing our services, our information, our input to them more than any place else, because we need it more than any place else.
I tell you, this is so good. I can't thank you enough. Listen, guys, if you want to support this movement, because it's not a moment, this is a movement. We are here to inform you. We are here to get you better. I keep telling you that help is not on the way. Help is here. I'm putting something in here because I believe in this. If you want to see Sister Romell back again, let us know. We got to have you back. We got to have you back. This was fantastic. I don't want to hold you long. I don't want to hold our people long. I thank you so much. I pray God's blessing over your life and all that you do. I pray health, wealth, and prosperity. You're in Augusta. You get down to Tabernacle Baptist and you see my nephew. You let him know. I know you.
I'm going to be looking him up because my children go to that church. My son and his wife, my granddaughter sang in their choir. So,
that's a beautiful thing.
They've been there for many years. So, Dr. Goodman has actually been in my house, by the way.
Okay. There it is. Look at this.
My son when they had a 25th anniversary party, they had it at my house out here in the woods. And he came out. And when my son ran for public office, and he came and prayed for his campaign because he knew
that's beautiful.
Would have been he'll make a good politician. We need some good people to be politicians.
That's a beautiful thing.
I love Dr. Goodman. He's
that's a beautiful thing. Well, we thank you so much, and I will continue to be in touch with you.
Okay.
And whatever I can do to assist at any time, please let me. It's been a pleasure to meet you. I consider you my friend, and we will be in touch, and we'll do this again.
Right. After our conversation today, it felt like we already knew each other.
Absolutely. We talked earlier about our grands and all of that stuff. So, you're my friend. I call you friend.
Thank you. And thank all of you for listening. We're pleased to share information from AARP because we know that we can cause seniors to have a better life if they're better informed.
Great. Thank you again. And for those of you who have watched us, please share this. We're on Facebook Live. We're streaming live tonight on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Please share this. If you're watching in later on, go ahead and hit the comments. I always return the comments. If there's information that's needed, I'll share it with you. And we love you. And if you want to get involved on the ticker, you'll see there's a Cash App. If you want to donate to this, everything goes towards making sure that this continues to move on. Technology is not free. And there's so many things that we're going to be doing, meeting needs, solving problems. You know what this that motto means. And you guys have a good night. Take this information and share it with one another. God bless you. May God keep you in perfect peace. Love you.